let me ask you this question. If you're on a beach and you go in the water and you see this massive wildlife like a whale, looking like it's really close to the beach and it's kind of it's in distress, it's trying to beach itself, what would you do? Some people would go and they would alert the authorities. And apparently other people would get on it and ride it. Yeah, amazing. Unreal. We're going to talk about it on today's episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast on what not to do when you see a whale in distress. Let's start the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin, and this is the podcast where you find out what's happening with the ocean, how you can speak up for the ocean, and what you can do to live for a better ocean by taking action. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about something that's really a weird story out of Hawaii, out of Waikiki. So that's on the island of Oahu in Honolulu. And it's a ridiculous story, to be honest. Something that at first looked like it was going to be a tragic story is a humpback whale, a calf, that was separated from its mother, was beaching itself. So it was going close to the beach and probably would have stranded itself, which would have been very harmful to the animal and could have led to its death. Luckily, the story ends up being a little better than that. But during the process, now Waikiki Beach is a very popular beach. A lot of people that are on there all the time. There are a lot of hotels around there, resorts and so forth. And so a lot of people witness this whale getting closer and closer to the beach. So a lot of people were worried. I'm sure a lot of people tried to alert the authorities, called the police or talked to a lifeguard if there was one around, maybe went to the hotels and so forth. And, they alerted and said, hey, there's a whale coming in closer to the beach. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but, you should check it out. And then, some people, I don't know if they went closer to it to try, I don't know how close it was to the beach to try, and I don't know if they were trying to push it away or anything, but a lot of people stayed back. But one woman decided to go close to it. Not only did she go close to it, she decided to ride the whale, the calf, this baby whale separated from its mother. Now, a lot of people didn't know that at the time, but decided to get on it and ride it because why not, apparently. Now, not only is this illegal, ethically, it's just ridiculous. How could you even think about, riding a whale in the first place? That's probably one of the dumbest things that I've ever seen. Just one, is dangerous. And people have died trying to save whales from entanglement because they've gotten themselves entangled in the whale, and then the whale will dive down into the ocean, right? And they don't come up for a while after that. Especially these larger whales. I remember doing marine mammal observing for bowhead whales, and it would take 20 minutes before a whale would resurface for air. So, that's a very dangerous thing to do. And unfortunately, people have died trying to save whales from entanglement. So just imagine what could happen for somebody who obviously doesn't know much about whales, decides to get on a whale and ride it as it's coming towards the beach. She could have fallen off. She could have been pinned by the whale, and depending how close how close the whale was to the ground, right, to the beach itself, gotten stuck underneath there. I mean, these things are a couple of tons. They're about 65 feet long, maybe longer, and they weigh a lot. And they don't feel you. They're just going to go right across. Now, humpback whales have known to save other whales from like predation, such as sharks or orcas and so forth. They're known to do that because they're very protective of their calves, so they're protective of other animals. They've been known to, protect seals and sea lions. Sometimes you'll see a sea lion or a seal on one of its pectoral fins and just hanging out there while the whale keeps moving just to get away from orcas. So they're just very protective animals of other species, not just their own calves. They're just protective. And researchers think is because they're so protective of their calves that they save other animals as well, which is really cool to see. And they could save humans. I don't know if there's ever been reported one, but they could save humans from something that's dangerous. You never know. But regardless, to get on a whale in their moment of distress, whether you think it's distress or not, or just to get on a whale in general, is just ethically wrong. And it's illegal in the U.S., as I'm sure it's legal in many places, but the Marine Mammal Protection Act forbids anyone from harassing, harming, really touching a marine mammal and impeding its direction or its normal direction. So just imagine what, the authorities must say when an animal's in distress, which this animal was. And this woman decides to kind of capitalize on that and say, hey, for the gram, I'm going to ride this whale. Or I don't know if she got pictures or not, but ride this whales. The worst part of it all for me, well, not the worst part, but icing on the cake was that she's Canadian. That doesn't say much about Canadians right now, and I'm Canadian. And so it's a little bit of a shameful thing from my perspective as a Canadian citizen. But luckily, the story did turn out to be a little bit better. The animal was saved from bleaching itself. However, I don't know if it was reunited with its mother. The National Oceanographic Administration, National Ocean and NOAA, the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, is there to help. Was there to help out and redirect the calf to to the open ocean, and hopefully it will find a way to get back to its mother. Unfortunately, it needs its mother, and we don't know what the fate of this baby is going to be. But NOAA has issued a warning about sharks that may have been attracted into the area because of that. Somebody was quoted as a small young animal alone potentially bleeding. Even if it's a small amount, definitely can have some potential to attract sharks. And so it would be very good for the next few days to exercise caution. That's for the beachgoers because, sharks will be in the area because they can smell from quite a while away. But it's just difficult, to see how people, the ignorance of people and what they think is right, that can, potentially harm this animal, could potentially harm themselves, and jumping on a whale to try and ride it in a moment of the whale's distress. It just drives me insane. And although this is an incident that may not happen often, it's a rare occurrence, especially on such a popular beach. It's always good to know what you can see. Like, when I went to Hawaii, things that I expected to see: sea turtles, potentially some dolphins, some whales. I thought I might see. I didn't, unfortunately. I didn't see dolphins either, but I did see a lot of sea turtles, a lot of different variety of fish. It's good to know that, and it's good to know what to do if you see an animal in distress. So feel free to. A lot of the hotels, if you're staying in a hotel or a tourist agency, will know what to do and what are the common animals, what are the common things that could happen, and so who to call and what to do. I remember this story brings me back to a story not as big, I guess, but when I was younger, when my kids were younger, we brought the kids to Florida, South Florida, and just north of Miami. And we went to a hotel, and it was like a 4-day trip. My youngest was like 9 months old. My oldest was just coming on 2. And we decided to, we just went for a beach vacation. So, the hotel, we'd go basically in the morning to the beach, come back for a nap because they were younger, go down to the pool in the afternoon because it was so much hotter, and then, go out to eat. And it was an early night for those kids and early night for my wife and I. And it was a great trip. And I remember one morning, my daughter, my youngest, Jade, she woke up early. Like it was around like 6:15. And so I didn't want to wake up. I didn't want to have her wake up everybody else. I wanted my wife and my other daughter, Taya, to get some sleep. So I picked her up and I took her downstairs. I said, you know what, let's go watch the sunrise. So we went on the beach and we watched the sunrise together. It was a cute moment. It was something that I'll always remember. And as the sun was rising and we started to kind of see things on the beach, there was this mound right from the ocean and a track that was going up and then right back down. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. I didn't know at the time. And I was like, wait a minute, this looks like some kind of nest, like a sea turtle nest. So I didn't know what to do at that time. It was on a beach where there's going to be a lot of people, and I had no idea what to do. So I went upstairs on my laptop. My wife, my daughter, my youngest daughter, Jade, and I, we were like looking at it for a while, and we were just kind of observing it. And I was telling her it's probably a sea turtle nest and stuff. She couldn't really speak at the time, but it was just curious. It was just a fun moment to experience. So I went back up to my laptop that I brought, and there was a sea turtle listserv. So I put on the listserv. I said, hi, I found this mound of sea turtle egg. I think it's a sea turtle nest. Is there something that I need to do? Is there somebody I need to call to make sure it's protected. It's on a very popular beach. There was a lot of people here yesterday. Is there some kind of protocol or something like that? And people answered right away. They're like, oh yeah, you got to tell, if you tell the hotel, the lobby, a lot of times they'll call Fish and Wildlife, and they'll come and they'll put like a little barricade around it so that the people can't get on, and they know it's a sea turtle nest. And that's exactly what I did. I went down to the hotel. I said, hey, I found a sea turtle nest right outside on the beach. I was told to come to the lobby to report it. And they said, yeah, we'll call Fisheries and Wildlife and they'll come. And lo and behold, like within probably an hour, there were barricades around it. And there was like caution tape, and there was a little sign saying, this is a sea turtle nest, please don't go and do it. And it was a great experience for my family because we were able to, my oldest daughter was so keen on looking after it that, anything that she would look around the mound, like outside the barricade, and she would like pick up any kind of trash or point to it, and I would pick it up, and we'd have to clean it up and make sure it's good because they were baby sea turtles. She wanted to see them come out. Unfortunately, obviously they didn't that day. We were only there for like 4 days, but she loved taking care of that thing, and I thought that was just a great experience for them. And just kind of like to see that track go back and forth and to see that big mound and to see it in person that I've never seen before was great experience for myself, and to share that with my daughter. I still tell that story to my daughter. And I've told it a couple of times on this podcast, but I thought it was right to do it now because, we knew what to do. We knew kind of like the right thing to do, or the people to contact to get the right thing to do. So I always say, if you ever have a problem in the wild, and what you can do is you can actually go to, hotel, or even somebody, if like a local store or something like that. It's like, hey, is there a protocol here? If there's an injured sea turtle, an injured animal, or stranded animal, who do I call? And it's always good to know before you go to a beach if you really want to know, and you can be that person, that resource person, as you go look at a beach. There are some times, like in Hawaii, when I went and I was volunteering at this for his organization for the morning of looking after green sea turtles as they ate the red algae. They would come around and they would lay out on the beach and just kind of digest it in the sun. There was an organization that would protect those sea turtles from harm from people, from harassing them and so forth. And so I remember, talking that we found a sea turtle that had looked like a cracked shell. And so, the organization that was volunteering, we called the authorities, Fish and Wildlife, and I think it was NOAA actually at this time. And NOAA came and picked up. They had a sea turtle rescue team that came and picked up the turtle, brought it to a veterinarian, and was able to bring it back and probably try and heal it up and stuff like that. There are protocols in place and people in place and teams that do this type of stuff, and it's really important to know what to do in that situation. Obviously, seeing a massive whale, you're going to be like, wow, this is really cool. You may not think it's in distress, but you can alert somebody to say, hey, there's a whale here. This is not something that we see normally, or that I would imagine that you would normally see. Maybe there's something wrong with it. Who do we call? And then they would call the proper authorities. So that's one lesson to learn out of this thing. But the biggest lesson is, if you see a whale, no matter whether it's in distress or not, or you think it's in distress or not, do not hop on it and ride it. That is probably one of the most, the worst decision you can do in that situation. Alert the authorities. Make sure that it's something that, if you're in the open ocean and you see a whale, it's probably supposed to be there. Enjoy the sight. Stay your distance. Keep your distance. Enjoy the sight, and it'll be a great day and a great story. If you see it coming along shore, a big whale like that, or a bunch of whales like a pilot whales or dolphins that are coming really in close to shore and they look like they're not doing well, go tell somebody and make sure the proper authorities don't go touch them. Just keep your hands off wildlife. One thing I've learned as a scuba diver is you see, you don't touch. And that's something I've lived by as much as possible. And I think I just say that to everybody. You're a guest in the ocean. When you go in the ocean, act like a guest, be polite, and be wary of the animals, and understand that, they need their own space as well. And they don't need to be touched or fed by us at any point in time. But anyway, that's it for the episode. I want to do a quick one. It is the new year. This is coming out in the new year, so happy new year. I wish everybody a really great new year. My next episode is going to be a little bit on what's to come for how to protect the ocean in 2024, and what we're going to be trying to accomplish, and just kind of the mindset that I'm going in with. I think it'll be a fun episode in terms of a communication aspect. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I hope to see you then. If you are new to this episode or new to the podcast, please feel free to follow or subscribe. And if you want to contact me and have any questions or want me to cover specific stories, please feel free to reach out at How to Protect the Ocean on Instagram, at How to Protect the Ocean. Just DM me. Love to hear from you. Or you can go to speakupforblue.com, look at not only how to protect the ocean, but you can also look at Beyond Jaws and other podcasts that we have coming out or that we have out. And I'd love to hear from you. And so that's it for me today. Thank you so much. Again, hopefully you had a great New Year, New Year's Eve, a great 2023, and an even better 2024. Thank you so much for joining us here on the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time, and happy conservation.